I have no idea whether or not this is working. Just let me know if you can see me. Or let me know when you can. Am I live? Is it working? I have no idea how to use this. I'm so sorry if it's not correct or I'm completely not doing anything right. Let me just move the chat so I can see it. I think I'm doing things right. Okay. Pop on the side there, chat. Pop on the side! Right, okay, I can see things now. Wonderful. Wonderful. Hello, everyone. Brilliant. I think I don't know, it seemed to look more flawless for Jake, or I swear it did. Maybe I've done something wrong. But I've set it up as best as I possibly can. So, fingers crossed, it'll go all okay from here. Hello, Kitty from the chat the other day. Ooh, hang on, I best turn this off. No interruptions. Right. I think it is lagging a bit, so apologies if I get to your chat slightly after, or if I'm pausing on the screen and then waiting for your chat to catch up. My glasses are here. Good spot, Tara. Just in case I need them. But I don't need... I mean, I wear them on the videos and stuff because obviously it makes me a little bit more notable. But I'm actually short-sighted, so I can see close up and not far away, so I don't need them for computer in particular, unless my eyes are straining. And the problem is, if I wear them, you see, they're quite reflective. And I thought it would interrupt our chat and our moment, so as much as they give me a little bit of notoriety, I thought, well, I'll put them away tonight, unless I need them. I'll get back to them later. Okay. So many questions already. Do you like watching or playing sports? From Nikita. No, I'm a bit rubbish. I think I played a little bit of basketball at school, but maybe a bit of tennis, but not really much of a keen sports fan, I'm afraid. Katie, even, what's your favourite thing to do when you are out? Goodness, I'm not really sure. I think it's just seeing how everyone is, really. I like checking in with our friends, I like checking in with Gaz, I like seeing how everyone's doing. That's probably more of my thing, is just to poach around, really. In a typical day, how often do you guys switch? From Elizabeth. We switch, oh gosh, it's... How long is a piece of string? We switch, can be a couple of times a day, can be, I don't know, we could stay out for a couple of days, a week. It just ranges, really. There's not a specific pattern that we follow. Hello, Daria. A big hello to you too. To Russia. What do I love most about Ed? Oh, that's a lovely question, Christopher. I like how deep of a person he is. He's very in-depth. Somebody described him recently as theatrical, and I quite like that. I think he's very theatrical looking, quite dramatic looking. He's got, quite striking features, and I love that. And, I could go on. I would literally take up the entire chat talking about my favourite parts about Ed, so I best not talk too much about that. But, yeah, basically everything. Love him to pieces. Have your system found any medication helpful in not switching as often? Unfortunately, no. I've never found any medication that seems to have helped the switching as such. It would more be about helping the anxiety. So I suppose if Jess is feeling particularly anxious, it's unlikely she'll want to come out. So it means that for a lot of the time you won't see Jess. So in terms of medication, if we're tackling the anxiety, that actually should slow down her switching. But there's not actually any medication, I guess, for switching. Oh, Joanne, you missed me gushing about Ed. I'm sure you'll hear it many times later in the chat, don't worry. gosh, this chat is very quick. Jake did say it was fast. I've recently been diagnosed with DID and I feel such comfort from this channel. Oh, Aliens Watch Me, I love the name. I'm pleased that you're feeling some support from this channel. That's exactly what we do it for. Hope you're doing well today. Thank you very much. Missed you guys so much from Grayson. Thank you. Hope you're feeling well today. Yes, read that one. Sorry, just like sort of... I'm not very good at this. How does Jake do this so quickly? What do you feel before you switch from V. Marie? I think we've described switching a bit like falling asleep. We've never been under any anaesthetic. But I suppose we surmised that it might be very similar. So it's that feeling almost where you're fighting to stay awake, but you fall asleep anyway. That's how it kind of feels to switch in. Switching out almost feels like you're waking up, but you're already in motion, which I suppose would never happen in ordinary life. But it does, I think that's the most similar thing that I can describe it to. Oh, I discovered you all today and I'm so glad I did. From Jeannie Christine. Thank you very much, darling. From Olivia. Hello, was it hard to find the comparison pictures to match your alters or was it fairly easy? We've been collecting pictures of us since I don't know how long. I think when Jess started realising there were people in her head, I'm not sure it would have started as like an intent to search. I think she must have just come across a picture that resembled something like a person in her head and she was like, oh my gosh, that guy looks like this guy, and she saved it and it's just been a recurring thing ever since. So it's taken us a long time and Jake's very good at Photoshop, which does help, but that's what we do. Do you watch Jess's or Jake's YouTube videos? Sometimes I sneak in and look at little bits. I'll probably watch mine back because I like attention, so I'll probably watch, give myself a pat on the back, say well done me. Oh. You are looking good. Thank you very much. That's a good compliment. If you could have your own bodies, would you pursue the career you wanted? From Stephanie Marie. Yes, absolutely. I would love that. Funnily enough, I've looked at it before of studying medicine, but Jess chose to do psychology instead. The idea behind doing psychology first, because she was either going to go into psychology or psychiatry. If she'd done psychiatry, we would have had to have done medicine first, which would have made me very happy. And then she would have gone on to do her mental health, which would have made her very happy, and we'd also have a very fat, nice, big paycheck. And the only thing that put Jess off doing that route was the time that it would take. So we were stuck with psychology. And the problem is with that then, they don't tell you. So once you've completed your degree, it's extremely difficult to get onto the doctoral program after that. So it was very, very difficult. And we're sort of stuck in limbo now. So we thought, well, while we wait for all this experience and whatever else they're looking for, why not go into psychotherapy? So that's what Jess has been doing. How old are you and Ed compared to Jess? From Sterling Snow. I am 27 and Ed is 29. Though next month I will be another year older and Ed will be another year older in November. So, and Jess is 25. Where do you think of the names, or where do you think the names of the alters came from? From Chloe. That's an interesting question. I'm not really sure. I don't think any of us, for us personally, none of us chose our own names, although there are systems out there that do choose their names. I know sometimes alters don't come with names, or they may adopt something like the little one, or the boss, or titles more than names, and then they get renamed. But no, for us we just came with our names. I don't really know where they came from, in all honesty, but I've noticed that myself, Jess and Jake are all J names, so I don't know if that means anything, but there we are. Are there any updates about Eli? From Tara? No, not as far as I'm aware. We've had one sighting very recently. And for those who don't know, Eli is a very recent fragment of ours, so he split off quite recently through stress, and we're still adjusting and adapting and everything else. So nothing that I'm aware of yet, at least nothing significant. From Amberger, how did you and Ed fall in love? I just saw it go up there. We fell in love when I first met him. I was 15, so this is an inner world story, obviously. I was 15, he was 17. Long story short, our dads grew up together, but then his dad sort of went to drink, drugs and rock and roll, and my dad sort of didn't, and he went up like the career ladder in music and had his own record studio and things like that, and we lived the high life, whereas Ed sort of lived a bit of a rougher life. And when I was 15, basically our dads got in touch again, and my dad wanted to help Ed's dad and said, well, why not come stay with us for a little bit and we'll help you out, essentially. And then I met Ed at my doorstep, tried to shake his hand, and he told me I was a posh toff and to mind my own business, and that was it, really, for love at first sight. No, I was very interested in him when I first met him. I'd never been interested in a man before. I didn't know what that was like, so I knew I was interested, but I had no idea that I was in love with him. I had no idea whatsoever, and I fought it probably until my early 20s. It's not that long ago that I was comfortable to say, okay, yeah, I'm bisexual and this is who I am, and yeah. Have you ever met anyone else with DID, says Chris. Yes, we've met, goodness, I can't think of off the top of my head how many people, but there's been quite a lot. I'd like to say 10, a random guess. 10 people I think we've met. And that's sort of up and down the country. We've met many more online. Many more online. Do you guys drive from Gaming Huskies? The DVLA is, I'm guessing, questioning your driving. I didn't see the chat before it went up. Yes, we do drive. We did have to get a report from the DVLA from our specialist and then send that off, and it was a big hoo-ha. But yeah, it was found we were fit and safe to drive so long as we did what everyone does, obviously common sense. If they're feeling under the weather, you know, if we're feeling that Ollie's about to switch out, or we're feeling extremely dissociated, we'll pull over on the side of the road and wait it out, call someone if we don't get better, or same as anyone else really. Like if people had migraines, of course you're going to pull over and sort it out first. So I just wouldn't worry. If you've got a great therapist, I'm sure they'll write you a lovely report that will say you're very functional and you trust your they trust your decision to be able to drive. And fingers crossed then the DVLA will look into that and they'll agree and be fine with it. Good luck. Joe! Chip Flap, hello. When do you think you'll have a live stream next? I hope you're not trying to get rid of me already, Aladdin. I haven't been here that long. I'm not sure, actually. I couldn't say. To be honest, Gaz sort of stole my thunder. I was hoping to advertise myself to more people in more, with plenty of time for people to be aware that this chat was going on. But then obviously Gaz had to mess around with whatever program that we use. And suddenly we were looking at our phone and suddenly we got this flummox of messages just being like, what's going on? I can't see anything. I was like, what is going on? And then Gaz was like, oh, I think I accidentally pressed stream. I was like, oh, brilliant. So we had to fix that, malarkey. And I thought, well, actually, considering you guys all waited and got really excited, I thought, well, I may as well do the good thing and come on right now and not disappoint anyone else. So... Oh, lovely compliments. I just got them. Is Ed part of the system? Yes, he is. He was in the Meet the Alters video. You can catch that one. I have such incredible energy. Well, thank you, August. I love you too. Do you ever wish you won an altar from Clorox Bleach? Thank you, Clorox Bleach. Yes, I do. I would love to not be an altar, in a way. In another way, I'm quite content, because... if I had a decision to be a real person out here and not have any of my job's responsibilities or my inner world life that I have, I wouldn't choose it. I just couldn't, because my inner goings on are more important to me than having a life out here, where I know as Jake feels quite different, and I know that Jake would love his own life out here. But for me, it's fine. I'm quite happy. 100 altars. You watched a Alexia watched a documentary with a woman with 100 altars. Can I even imagine what it's like? No, I cannot. I would dread to think. We have 5 of us, including Jess, and then obviously there are some fragments. But no, and actually I think we've got the smallest number of altars that we've known of in a group with our group of friends. And I think our closest group of friends, one's got I think 13, maybe more altars. I mean, we always use a rough figure, you know, we can never be sure exactly how many altars you have. They've got 13, and then another friend of ours has got 52. And even that is mind-blowing to us. We're like, no. I'm quite happy with how small we are. I quite like it that way. How old is Ollie now? He's 14. He'll be 15 in October. Time's flying by. Chloe, does each altar have their own birthday? Yes. Oh, sorry. Mine's September 20th. Jess is September 27th. Ollie's is October 30th. And then Ed's is November 8th. Oh, and Jake's, I didn't say Jake's is February 14th. Snapple and Cats, I remember you from the last chat. What are your opinions about integrating? Integrating, yeah, is beneficial for some systems, and I think particularly natural integration is beneficial for everyone, you know. So what I mean by that is some altars you don't have to go through therapy, and you don't have to go through anything like that. It's sort of like your brain, your mental health, whatever you want to call it, your whatever, it can sort of naturally heal itself over time, and you generally find some of the lesser altars, so generally the fragment parts, they will integrate over time very slowly by themselves, and that's fine. Integration as a whole, though, I know it's becoming a little bit more outdated now. Many therapists are more concerned with the communication and cooperation aspects of working with the DID system, to make sure that everyone is at an equilibrium and can function. So I think that should always be like the initial goal, is just to get that functionality, and then to go from there on whether or not you integrate as a system. But it's a choice for every system, and I'm neither against or for it. Jenny Pino, we need your help. I hope I'll catch whatever help you need. John D, do you have a PO box? I want to get Ollie something. Very kind of you, John D, but I'm afraid we do not. The PO boxes in the UK are over £300 per year, and it's not something at the moment that we can afford. We do have a little Amazon wish list, but that's the only thing that we've got even remotely close to, I'm afraid. We'd love to open one up in the future, though, so maybe when we're able to get a few more subscribers, we'll be able to use whatever little bit of monetization comes in, and then put that forward for it. That'd be brilliant. Do alters get gender dysphoria? Yes. Maddy 1401 Games, yes. Jake is my brother. He particularly suffers with gender dysphoria. For myself, I'm okay, really. It doesn't particularly bother me. I think that's because I'm not too concerned about how people see me out here, whereas I guess for Jake, as much as he's not allowed, you know, there could be a potential girlfriend around for him. Whereas for me, obviously, I'm quite content. I don't look for anyone or care about that, and I'm quite happy to just be myself in front of our good friends, and they know I'm out, so that's fine. Arcane system, advice for dealing with school. From a personal perspective, I say to keep organised. Do homework when it's given to you, so you don't forget, you don't go off track, and when it's given to you, obviously you've done it, you've got it out of the way, there's no distractions or no alters that can come out and not do your homework in the interim. And I would say if there is a support system, do use it. Particularly if you're at university, that's something that I would highly recommend, is a good support system with tutors, maybe the school counsellor, whatever you need. James Paynton, given that Jess's body is female, would you boys consider yourself trans? No, we do not. We consider ourselves male. I don't know how different it is. I guess because the body isn't ours. So I guess we wouldn't be trans unless I think the body went through transitioning. That's my idea of it anyway. We do actually know alters who are trans, so they may have gone through that inner world, you know, where they've had the transition inner world and gone through all the gender change and everything else. So I certainly wouldn't want to step on anyone's toes, and I'll say no, that we don't consider ourselves transgender. Hamburger, where are your signature glasses? Right at the beginning of the chat, I did say they're here in my lovely magical box. And I am short-sighted, so I don't need them to see things close to me. I need things to see far away. And although I wear them as a get-up for YouTube so people can see me and recognise me easier, clearer, I guess a bit like in the United States of Tara, where obviously they've all got the signature clothes. We're not that extreme, you know, but just to help make things a little bit easier for the audience. But I thought tonight I won't wear them because if I put them on, they're very reflective, and that might be a bit more distracting. So I'll only put them on, I think, if my eyes get a bit tired and if I start straining, but it should be fine. Ooh. Oh, I wish I had time to read all of these comments. I absolutely wish I could. Can I keep secrets from other alters? I could, Logan. I could. And we have, and that does happen. A friend of ours told us very recently, an alter, mysterious one, came out, said to a friend, don't tell anyone I'm here. And then that was it. And then the friend then wasn't able to tell anyone in that system that there was another alter in there because that alter wasn't happy to let that be known. I think the person's aware of it now. It's very, very foggy memory, but I know that happened recently. I saw from Snapple and Cats, I think, what other DID YouTubers do you like? To be honest, we haven't tuned into many, and it's something that we do need to do. It's sort of on our list of things to do. When we started all of this, we watched a lot of Tommy Jameson, who is Sidian3. I know that Jake mentioned her in the previous video. So it's spelled Sidian and then 3. And she was the first ever YouTuber that we came across and found, and we've got the world of respect for her because she and her alters are wonderful. And it gave Jess hope right at the beginning of her journey when she couldn't find anyone on YouTube that, you know, wasn't strapped to a bed and screaming, essentially, that actually she could live with this disorder and she didn't have to be like what was portrayed in movies and, the worst of the worst documentaries. So, yeah, her, great. And I know that Jake was planning to see if he could ask people on YouTube, particularly those with DID, if we can link to their page, essentially. So we can do a little video linking to all these other people's pages, because what we have noticed, even though we've not had time to sit back and watch everyone, is that more and more people with DID are now coming out of the woodwork and speaking about their experiences, which we think is incredible. Like, we think it's remarkable that so many others are now coming forward and speaking their story as well. And it's just as important for them to be heard as it is for us to be heard, or anyone with mental health issues to be heard. And I think the more that people talk about this disorder, the more that stigma is going to break down. So it's something we're very, very keen on doing in the future. Sorry, I'm really sweaty, like around my nose. It's very, very beautiful. I probably should have brought a tissue or something. Shaka Zulu, Jamie, I missed you. How have you been? I've been okay. I've missed you too. Yeah, no, okay. Heavenly Blade, how accurate is your medical knowledge from your inner world? Sorry, I missed the rest. Basically, not very, in terms of I would not be a qualified doctor out here, and I certainly couldn't give anyone any medical advice. my role, essentially. So my role as a doctor in a world is reflected by my role as a carer out here, because that's what I do. So I care for Jess, look after this body, look after everything around it. So that's, you know, mental health, physical health, everything like that. So I do all the dentist appointments, doctor's appointments, etc. And I think because of that, I've got much more of an understanding of, say, medicine, sickness, and how to deal with health, when to go to A&E, things like that. But no, I wouldn't have any more knowledge than somebody who's done a lot of Googling on Google, I guess. I certainly wouldn't say I'm an expert. But again, I'd love to be able to go to medical school one day. So that's on the dream list. Can alters have different physical strength? Yes, Anna, but not like in Split. Have to get that in there as well. Yes, alters can have different strength, and it is apparently to do with, again, different access to different parts of the brain. So again, like things like hormones firing off, testosterone firing off, adrenaline firing off, fight or flight responses. It's all a mixture of so many different things, but yes. I know in our past it's been Jake that has torn muscles and ligaments in our legs, in our arms from flighting. And obviously that is going above and beyond what is capable of our body to hold. So although Jake has essentially done damage to us, it was for a good reason or a good cause. Fragments, yes, Ed is back. And what is going on with the alter that's replaced Ed? Nobody's replaced Ed, he's still here, I promise. He disappeared for 6 months under a lot of stress. It was some traumas that were coming out of the woodwork, and that did make Ed split with another alter called Eli. But yeah, it's fine now. He's getting back to feel more of himself. It's been quite a long journey, but yeah, very happy to have him back. Are Ollie and Jess able to communicate now? Oh, Alice, that's a very good memory. Yes. It's on the rise. It's taken many years. I mean, if you asked, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago, no, they couldn't at all. What we find happens now is that Ollie can speak to Jess. So if he's co-conscious, he can speak to Jess, but he can't hear what's being said. And that can be vice versa as well. So there's still a little bit of a bridge or, you know, a barrier, but that's okay. It'll get better over time. Can other alters give their ideas without stepping forward from creative chaos? Certainly. Again, that would be co-conscious. So somebody would say, you know, so we'd say, like, what do you want for dinner? And then we might get pizza. We might get salad. So many things being shouted out. But yes, that can happen. I'm a huge fan. Thank you, Kale. Do you have good friends, you know, online with the ID? Yes, we do. We do have several very, very good friends that we've met through the online community. And we're looking forward to meeting more in the future. Is anybody co-conscious right now? I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't think so. Usually it would be Jake, because doing things like this, but I don't think he's around. He's been very quiet for the last, I don't know, couple of weeks. Because Jess has been under a lot of stress. And she's actually, first time ever, bless her, she's off sick from work at the moment. To recuperate from stress. And Jake's dealing with a lot of that with Jess. So I think that's his because his primary role is to encourage and soothe Jess and reassure her, etc. So I think he's spending a lot of time doing that. So I don't think he's around. Because I actually felt quite nervous before I came onto this chat, and I didn't think I would be nervous, but I was a little bit, I'm a little bit better now. Where does Jess go when she's not in control? Your buddy Jade. She goes into like a sleep, we would say. It's a black room. Again, we work quite differently to most systems, but I have heard, or I have seen other systems that work the same way we do, is that we have an inner world self, an outer world self, And the inner world selves don't know that they're alters, or don't know that this world exists, or don't know that their world doesn't exist, and they just have an inner life and they get on with things, and that's it. Our outer selves are very aware of our inner selves, and we can watch our inner selves, but we can't interact or change anything that's going on. In between that, obviously, that means that we are all like Jess, essentially. Jess doesn't go to our inner world, and neither do we. So when we switch out, we get to this black room, and that's all we do is switch off and sleep. It's very zombie-like almost. It's not particularly glamorous, but I think you switch off to such an extent, all you're left with is either, being sucked in and drawn into what you're doing in your inner world, or you get drawn to what's going on out here, in which case you'd be co-conscious. And that's all it is, really. It's just a little bit complicated. I'm very sorry if that I've overcomplicated it. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. Denfo, Jamie, could you briefly discuss fictive alters? I know you said you feel like you don't think that's something very well understood. Yes, certainly. So fictive alters are basically alters that are based on some fictional work. So it can be from books, I don't know, even people in real life, even though that's not fictive, it's a factive if you want to do it. The correct name, however, is actually introject. So an alter is based on... An alter who is based on someone is known as an introject, whether they're a factive or a fictive or anything else. So a lot of people with DID, unfortunately, have alters that are based on their abusers. So that would be an introject of an abuser. Some other people say grew up a lot loving Peter Pan and wishing Peter Pan would whisk them away and make them, take all their troubles away, and therefore they may have an alter based on Peter Pan, which would be an introject fictive. So that's sort of how it works. I hope that cleared that up. Madden, how does Gaz deal with... Oh no, I've lost it. I think she said, how does Gaz deal with different alters coming forward, and can he tell that they're different? I think that's what was said. Sorry if it's not. I can't. My scrolly thing for some reason isn't wanting to scroll. Yes. Sorry. I feel like I'm dissociating a bit now. Yes. He can tell. He's pretty good. Doesn't always get it 100% right if we're asleep or if we're doing, we're not talking or moving or anything. But he's pretty good at guessing who's out. He'll know by the positions that we lie in, or if we snore, or whatever, that who might be out, who's likely to be out. Although Ollie started snoring recently, so it's put him off, because I was the only snorer, unless Jake had a few to drink. But now Ollie's the next snorer in line, so that's made it a bit more difficult for Gaz. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, Gaz is very, very good, and he can even sense when there's someone else around. So he'll be like talking to me, say for example, and we'll be making dinner. And then he'll be like, rah, 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 rah to me, and I'll be like, rah, 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 rah to him, and then he'll be like, okay, but what does Ed think? I'm like, sorry, and then he'd be like, well, what does Ed think? And I'm like, well, why would, and I'm like, then I can feel him, then I can sort of like, oh, well, Ed's there, like, well done, Gaz. Okay, I'll tell you what he said, I'll tell you what he wants. And that happens too, so Gaz is very, very good. Oh no, Jaden, it's not causing stress, it's just one of those things, unfortunately, don't worry. This dissociating is a normal part of our daily life, where it's just forgetting things, questions, zoning in and out. Don't worry about it, no problem at all. Does anyone have tics from Mackenzie? No, luckily, I don't think. Haven't noticed. Funnily enough, I think we had a doctor ask us that the other day. We were talking about, the stress at work and stress in life and whatever else that Jess is not very well with at the moment. And then he was very fascinated by us, and then he sort of said, okay, rah, 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 do any of you have OCD? And we were like, no. And I was like, we've got everything else. Let's just not add OCD into it. Let's not do that. Or tics, So yeah, that's it. My little story there. Are there people in a world who aren't alters from Snapple and Cats? Yes. Everyone, really. Teachers, postmen. Trying to think. Anyone. Really? Your local person at the supermarket, people passing in the street? Yeah, they're all fillers, basically, to make our inner world story have more sense. So, but for inner worlds, for many people, like I said, they're all very different. Some people have castles, some people have islands, some people have just one house and it's just them. Some people live in forests and caves. And some people I know actually have several like worlds in their heads. So they have like a whole universe, which blows my mind. I thought we were complicated, but that's amazing. Connor, do you ever fall out with the other alters or Jess? Not really. I'm pretty good. I think that's mainly my job as a mediator, really, to be carer, protector, logical thinker, that kind of thing. So no, I'm pretty good with everyone. I think back in our teenage years, I think Jake and I fought a bit, but we're brothers and that's what brothers do. But he's mellowed out a lot now and so have I, so no, not really. It's all good. Is your inner world like the outer world from Jess L? Yes, it is. Very similar. It's Earth as it is, but it's about 20 years in the future. Don't know why. There we are. Maybe Jess wanted to escape when she was younger and she thought about the future. I don't know actually, but yeah. Daria, do your pets act different around different altars? I don't think particularly. I think because it happens so frequently, I think our pets are just cool with it. They're pretty chill. The only, bless him, the only difference we have noticed with Fable, our puppy, is that he will tend to hump Ollie. So his arm or something random, generally his arm for some reason. But none of the rest of us, just Ollie. So we think it's like, in a family you have a hierarchy, obviously you have a pack and a pack leader, etc. I guess at the bottom of that for us would be Ollie. So I think he's trying to get his little maybe I can get a one up between the, I don't know. But yeah, no, not really, I'd say. For us, our pets are pretty chill. Where is Jess's hubby from Jaden? He is out and about getting plastered in the closest city nearby, and I'm picking it up. That's where I just was before this live stream. I was taking him to said place. And I did want to join them, but I said, no, I've got to be here with these lovely people that I've promised I will chat with. So yes, I'm here and sober just for you guys. And I'll pick Gaz up probably at about midnight because he's usually like Cinderella. Do you think any of the other guys can come out for the live stream and talk? Leslie B, are you trying to get rid of me already? Probably not. We like to be quite, I don't know. I think catching a switch on camera and stuff, it's quite a vulnerable feeling. And I don't know how much Jake has talked about this, or Jess in fact, but I know we had some people, TV people come down and film us very recently, and they spent a long time with us pretty much every day, but every time we switched, we said that they would sort of wait and be like, want to see you switch, and we had to say to them, like, look, sorry, it's the most vulnerable feeling. You have to let us leave the room, have 5 minutes, and then we'll come out when we're ready and we've all talked it out and we've calmed down. It's almost a little bit anxiety provoking, and I think unless you're around people that you're very comfortable with, you're not likely to switch in front of that person unless you can sort of do it camouflaged, like, oh, that person's looking away, I could switch, that kind of thing. But no, I don't think so. I think for this live stream it's just me, and then maybe you'll have someone else in the future. So. How do your relationships differ with Gaz? I think we've touched briefly on that, so I won't go into too much detail. We might not have, so I apologise. I mean, Jake's is completely platonic with Gaz, as is Ollie's. Ollie calls Gaz his grandfather, his godfather. He's not a grandfather. His godfather. So he's got like a caretaker role for him. Gaz and I, we used to be a lot more, I don't know, intimate back in the day, I think. I think when hormones were raging and any hole was a goal, Gaz was quite, yeah, he was alright to be there. But actually, as I've grown up, I'm like, no, I don't feel that way towards Gaz. He's a really good guy. He's a really good friend. But no, we just sort of kiss, cuddle, and that's about it. Because I'm quite an affectionate person. So for me, yeah, that's more than enough. And let me think. Ed then, yeah, part of Ed's job, is to. I mean, it's quite sad. I mean, if we're going to have quite a serious conversation about this as well, I mean, part of Ed's job growing up, or part of what he was made for, is for keeping men happy, you know, because Jess really struggles to have close intimate relationships. So part of what Ed was made for was for that. And actually something that, again, we said to these TV people when they came up, and I'll relate to you guys now, is I think a very beautiful thing since we've been with Gaz is that Ed is recognising that he has other wonderful strengths, and yeah, that's certainly not what he's all about. And Alter is not all about their role, and Alter can do so much more just if you just give them the chance. So yeah. I've forgotten the main question. I'm sorry if I've forgotten it entirely. Sorry. Hope I answered it though. Oh, got to go, Amber. No problem. I love you too. Hi, Jamie. Big fan. Beauty professional for life. Thank you, darling. I've noticed one about handwriting. We do have different handwriting, but Ollie doesn't, which I find is quite interesting. So Ollie's handwriting is sort of a bit camouflagey. He can sort of pick and choose, I think, who he writes from, or maybe I think his is sort of between Jess's and Jake's. But I think that's because all of us went to school with Jess. So myself, Ed and Jake, we all went to school and grew up with Jess. So I think that's how we've all developed our handwriting. But Ollie didn't start coming out until Jess basically had left school and gone to university. So, or just before she went. So it wasn't long before she went anyway. So because of that, he never gained any handwriting experiences and was never taught at school like how you should write. So he never really developed anything, whereas the rest of us did. Oh, mercilessly yours, Dr. Hubby! Waiting for bands and nips. I love it. I hope you've had a good day at work if you've been at work. Will more alters develop? Asked Tyler. Who knows? For us personally, we like to hope not, because I think it's very distressing for Jess when a new alter surfaces, because there's that whole worry about what if they're not going to comply, what if they're going to not want to be a part of this team that we've made and this equilibrium that we found in this corporation. And as well, there's a lot more amnesia and a lot more blackouts and a lot more memory loss. So really we want to avoid that as best as possible. And that can always happen. So once you've started developing alters, you can continue developing them. For some systems, it's at the drop of a hat, people develop alters. For other systems, it takes much, much more. Luckily for us, we are more geared towards that end of things. So it's very rare that we will develop a new alter. We've had Cobe, and then we've had Eli. Those are the two most recent, and both of them were within the last... So Cobe was 6 years ago, I think, about 6 years ago, and then Eli was this year. So, I mean, there's been quite a gap between alters for us. I love you guys so much. Thanks for talking about your life. No problem at all. I hope it helps people and it helps awareness and etc. Did Jake travel or Jess to get his American accent from Kale? No, he didn't. We believe... I don't know if Jake may have mentioned this in his last video. I may be wrong. We believe that Jake may have developed his accent. I mean, Little Jake. We have a fragment as well called Little Jake, who is 6 years old. So that's when our Jake was also made. So I know. So sorry. I'm trying to not go into too much detail, but it's hard to not give you the full picture without it. So Little Jake is a memory holder, and he holds on to the trauma. But Jess still needs to grow up, and she needs support to grow up and, you know, develop. So little Jake and Jake split off, and then we've got one Jake that grows older with Jess, and then little Jake that stays where he is. So we still have a very small Jake that's 6 years old with all these horrible memories, bless him. Anyway, little Jake can't speak and he's mute. So, judging by that, we assume that our Jake was also mute when he was the same Jake, essentially. And when he split off, Jess did a lot of self-soothing growing up by watching a lot of Disney films and a lot of movies, and that's certainly the something Jake loves. And we figured basically he just picked it up from watching too much Disney and too much movies. You know, that's all it is, really. We don't think it's about travelling. It was just more comfort. So those kinds of voices brought comfort to Jess at that point in her life. And because Jake was made for comfort, we just put two and two together, really. So that's our theory. Are there any foods one of you likes but the other hates from Chloe? Yeah, I can't stand like things like calamari. I'll eat it if I absolutely have to, but I can't stand anything like that, any squiddy things. Ed, however, loves like takoyaki from Yo Sushi, and that is literally like octopus tentacles in a ball, and that's horrendous. And he loves things like that. But I'm not a very fish person, so Ed loves his fish. The fish is sort of like the last thing I'll prefer to eat. And Jake's also vegetarian. The rest of us aren't. So, yeah, there are food preferences. Ooh. Don't realise how thirsty I am. Logan, can Ollie drink? He can drink water. He can't drink alcohol. I mean, saying that, you know, he's at an age now where his friends are doing it and sneaking out to do it, and I think we'd rather him drink in the house with one or two than absolutely get sloshed at a secret party somewhere that we don't know about. So he's not allowed to drink, but if it happens, we'd rather know about it. Oh my gosh, I just like, I'm trying to read one, and then like by the time I've read one, the other one goes out. Oh. 8 Misha, don't you need glasses? I discussed this earlier. That'll be the third time, so I won't bring it up again. You'll have to bounce back, I'm afraid. Respect, mercilessly yours. Respect. Are your parents? My parents are okay with me being bisexual. My dad wasn't. My mum's fine. Mum's always been fine. Never a problem. Oh gosh. Can you do an American accent like Jake's? Do you know what I was doing? Who was I doing this to the other day? I think it was, you know, it was actually one of our friends with the idea, I'm sure, because she came down, oh gosh, 2 weeks ago? It must be about that now. Okay, I can try. I can be a really annoying person because my name is Jake and I think I'm beautiful and I've got such a kindred soul. I don't know, that's my best one. I hope it's alright. Oh, I feel so mean now. Okay. Snapple and Cats, are there any altars that have disappeared? Yes. We apparently had 20-something at one point, but we don't now. We just have us, what's left, and we don't really remember anything about the previous altars, so yeah, they existed. They don't anymore, so we've had altars go away and integrate. Will Jake ever be able to have a girlfriend not out here? He won't, unfortunately. We've made a commitment to Gaz, and we have all discussed and all agreed that we are, as a collective, monogamous and not polyamorous. That's just, for our principles and for us, it just wouldn't work. So no, just Gaz. He can dream though, he's welcome to dream. We do have a mum and dad inner world, yes. Just buying all the time costing what the hell? Well done, Max. Spread awareness. Sorry, I didn't read that one out loud. I should have. That was really bad of me. So Stella, do you miss your sister? Yes, I do. I mean, I do, but I don't. I do because she used to be very helpful when she was an alter out here. Very helpful. But in a world, I still see her. So to me, she still exists. She hasn't gone anywhere. She's still there. She just doesn't do anything out here anymore. Is Eli a full alter or a fragment? Can we ever meet him? I believe he's an a fragment. I don't think he's a full alter, unfortunately. With the chances of you meeting him, I don't know. I don't think that we have very good memory or co-consciousness with Eli whatsoever. Funnily enough, for some strange reason, Ollie has had the best communication with him. Don't really know why. So probably not. The chances are slim. But that'll probably be the same, certainly for Cobe and for Little Jake. That I don't think that they'll be for YouTube. Somebody said, I missed it. I've recently been diagnosed with DID and I have many questions. Can I message you somewhere else? You're welcome to probably best use our Tumblr, to be honest, which is multiplicityandme.tumblr.com, or we have our personal ones for the alters, which is multiplicityandwe.tumblr.com. That's probably your best to message us on. And there are also previously answered questions and asks that you may find helpful and beneficial. But don't forget, if you're in the UK, there are charities like First Person Plural and Pods that will probably give you some very, very great advice on all of this. Do I have any advice for systems going to university? I recognise you. I'm sure I do. Maybe you've got a very similar picture to someone we know. Yes, again, very similar to the school one that I had earlier. I would just say get support from your tutor. If you can, make them very aware. Sign up to the Disabled Student Services, not because you need to use them, but because if your documentation, everything is there and it's in place, it means that if something happens, we can never predict the future. If something happens at university where, say, you don't turn up for an exam because an alter's come out, or you've completely forgotten something, or you need to do a take-home exam, or whatever it is, that will be there as evidence for you, and you've got that there already. So it's very, very easy then to get a hold of the student services, to place that into support and get that fixed for you. Whereas if it wasn't there, you would just be failed, basically, automatically. And yeah, so give yourself a fighting chance. Just give all your documents in straight away. Be very open with student services. Speak to your tutor if you feel comfortable. And I definitely say just get as much support as you can at university. That was a crazy journey for us. Crazy journey. Where do you live in your inner world? I saw a question fly up there. We live in Windsor, which is in England in the UK. What's my favourite band? It is All Time Low, I think. I love them to pieces, so I'm going to go with them. Ed and I do love Panic at the Disco as well. That's one we were listening to earlier. Yellow Card, We the Kings, Sum 41. I like my pop punk, personally. Connor, how brilliant Gaz is. He is brilliant. He is wonderful. Are we on any other social media? We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Both, again, Multiplicity and me. He hasn't got DID. My friend says he hasn't got DID. Oh, but has people in her head. I didn't see the last of the question. I'm so sorry. I don't know why my scrolly thing isn't working. How rubbish. Jake's going to kill me for that impression. I know. He loves it, though. I wind him up all the time about it. When I look in the mirror, do I see myself or Jess? I see Jess, but I don't see Jess. I see Jess's body, but I don't see Jess, if that makes sense. I know that it's me running the show, essentially. I can see in the mirror it's me running the show, and I can see it's not Jess. Have I ever visited Windsor in the real world? Yes, I have. Actually, Ed's best friend, Jo, who was in the chat earlier, I'm not sure if she's still around, she worked in Windsor, so we went to visit her and saw it there, so that was lovely. And we actually have a talk at a university based in Windsor coming up in February, so we'll be going down then again. And Ollie is very, very excited about going there, because he feels to him like he's going home. So that'll be lovely. Is Gaz bisexual also? Yes, he is. Yes. What's Eli's role? We don't really know, to be honest, Mariana. I have no idea. It's part of the puzzle of figuring each one of us out, and that's a puzzle we have not yet figured. We think, I guess, in theory, that he's there not as much more than to basically separate the memories even further, because Jess started remembering more stuff that was on Ed's side of things that he's remembered but he's repressed. So Ed is also a memory holder in a way, but he doesn't remember anything. It's more, I don't know how to say it, subconscious. So we think basically because memories were being pulled from Ed's subconscious, Eli just came as a fragment to break that up and to stop those memories coming forward any more than they were, because it was just too overwhelming. So he's almost like a barricade, I think, but I have no idea if there's any more to that. What's the difference between DID and multiple personality disorder? No difference except the name. So the correct name is dissociative identity disorder, and it was changed because DID is not a personality disorder, it's a dissociative disorder, which are very, very different things. So, yeah, basically that's why the change was made. Do we have any advice for upgoing better communication in a world between alters, especially with literal inner world dissociative walls? Oh gosh. If you find the answer to that, let me know as well. I think it's just basically one of those things. It's like time, patience, trial and error, writing notes, and it's noticing. I think something that really helped us actually was noticing what behaviours belong to who, or what likes belong to who, what dislikes belong to who, and then you'd be able to start piecing together things. Like, okay, I'll use Eli as an example now. So we know from one conversation that Eli really loves fish. That's basically what he eats. So he eats fish and he eats vegetables. We know that. Because he describes himself as a fussy eater, right? Don't know. That's all we had. That's one of the very few facts we had about him. So when he was first around, I had this very, very strong urge to buy roll mops. And I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're the most vile, horrible things. And like I said to you guys earlier, I'm not a fish fan in any way, shape or form. And I begrudgingly bought them because I thought, well, maybe Ed wants them. But I think they're even too icky for Ed to eat, really. But I was like, okay, I'll buy them. Why not? Took them home. And then Eli had come out at some period and eaten them, and Gaz had talked to him and etc. But basically, discovering that made me realise, okay, at that opportunity, and if I ever had that craving, that strong craving for fish and that strong craving for roll mops, whatever it is again, I know that's probably my time to start try to talk, basically, to Eli. That's probably my best time, because I know then he's around. I don't know how well he can hear me or if he can hear me at all. But basically using little clues and cues like that, I think, are your best bets to start that little barrier forming with different alters. But that's only from my experience. I don't know if there are better ways. But yes, I hope that's okay. What's your favourite Panic at the Disco song? Oh, I don't know. Ed loves that Casual Affair song, and I don't know what my favourite is. I do like Victorious. I know it's, one of the main released ones, but I always get my jam on with that, so. Opening track, it's good. Would I want a wife and a normal family if I could? No, I wouldn't, because I cannot imagine a life without Ed at all. Or Ollie for that matter. Like, I couldn't. So no, I'm happy the way I am. Does Gaz ever get frustrated at you or the other alters? I guess so. I mean, I think that's normal for any relationship anyway in general, whether you're friends or partners or whatever. Yeah, but I think it's more that I'm the worst. I think I tend to wind Gaz up quite a lot, so I take the piss, and then he'll get like quite upset about that in the end. He'll be like, "No, you can't say that about me. You can't do that," and then we just we bicker. But it's nothing major. I just think I poke too many of his buttons, and then he'll like overstep a line, and then we're fine now. We're fine. Is Ollie my biological son? Yes, he is. He's mine. Any hidden talents? I don't think so. Oh, I mean, I guess that's one. I can play the drums, and we've never had drum lessons. It's very strange. Or I did be able to play them years ago. We don't have any drum kit now for me to prove it to you. But yeah, years ago, I was very good at it. Just naturally good at it. I wish I was like that for the piano, because in a world I can play the piano, but for whatever reason out here it just doesn't seem to go well at all. But that's on my little birthday or Christmas list one year, and I'd love to get a piano and try again. But yeah. I got the highest mark in my speaking and listening English exam whilst talking about DID, and it's all thanks to you guys and Jess's lecture she posted. Brilliant! Oh, well, congratulations. I'm so very pleased for you. I'm so glad it helped. How is Christmas like with you guys? From Miss Velvet. It's always fun. Ed does the most beautiful dinner. He puts on this wonderful 3-course meal every year. We've only lived by ourselves, I'd say, in this house for 2 years, really, or 3. Oh my goodness, I can't even remember. 2 or 3 years. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, and I know he does these amazing dishes, so I think he did like a lovely broccoli and Stilton soup, he did a venison Wellington, and then he did a lemon posse with shortbread, and all of it was homemade, and it was gorgeous. So I love that. We get a beautiful meal from Ed in the day, and then generally Christmas, we do, like Gaz will buy us little things each, and there's generally one main present for whoever wants the present the most, essentially, that year. So, but Gaz is good at figuring that out, and of course you'll spoil Jess rotten. And then, yeah, of course we do the same for Gaz, and we try and buy him as many presents as he buys us, to try and make it even. But we did go a bit mad on Christmas, and we said this year, right, we have to tone it down a bit because our poor bank. So, yeah. I've just realised it's been an hour. Jake again is very right. He said it would go very quickly. I didn't realise. Are people happy for me to continue talking? I don't have any water left, so you might hear me get a bit dry lipped even. I should have also done what he told me to do and get 2 drinks. But never mind. But if you guys are happy, that's cool with me. Cool. Teabag Pancake. I love that name. Epic. Okay. Matreshka, hello. I hope I pronounced your name right again. I'm so rubbish at that, but yes, welcome. Okay. Does Ollie have a mum? Yes, he does. He has a biological mum, Innerworld. So Innerworld, she was my high school sweetheart, basically. And, yeah. Always have protective sex. Lesson learned there. But I love him to bits, and I wouldn't want anything different. Patchwork Mind, that's why we recognise you. Of course, hun. Of course we recognise you. Hello, welcome. Do I want more kids? Well, technically we do. We have 2 Innerworld kids, Vixie and Todd. So we already have 2 other kids. And like I said to you guys, as our worlds in the future, they were made by surrogacy, etc., etc. So, yes, we already have kids. I do want more kids, but in the time in life that we are right now, it wouldn't be feasible. So maybe a few years down the line, as much as I'd want a whole football team of children. Yes. Would we ever make music for YouTube? If so, I'd love to make music with you guys. That would be so fun. What on earth would we do music about? I mean, mind you, Jake comes up with all these wacky ideas, right? And oh my gosh, like we have to do this for YouTube kind of thing. Like he just gets on his, I've got this crazy idea and we need to do it. And he was just like, do you know what we should do? We should do like one of those acapellas with all of us doing bits. And I was like, there's no way that Ed or Ollie would touch that with a barge pole. I'd probably do it for the laugh, but I definitely can't imagine like an alter quartet or whatever's going on, but he thinks it's a wonderful idea. But yeah. Are you ignoring my question? What question did you ask, Kristin? I cannot see it, I'm afraid. It's like a crazy chat. So unfortunately, unless I see it in the blink of my eye and I feel that I can answer it very quickly, I'm not going to pick it up, I'm afraid. Oh, if you learn something new in regards to medicine that's opposite of your knowledge inside, would it be corrected inside somehow? Yes, that's very true. That's so true. So true. So if I suddenly learn something or a procedure or something that I didn't know inner world, either the picture inner world will become clearer or the story will sort of rewrite itself. So yes, that's very, very right. Do you think Ollie would do gaming videos? Well, he already uses Gaz's stream account. Stream account? No, what's it called? I'm sorry, I'm not very down with all this gaming stuff. I never play games. Oh, I don't know what it's called. Twitch. That thing. He uses Gaz's Twitch account and he plays some games. I don't remember all the last. He was doing one with like a little sock puppet man. I've no idea, but he does do that occasionally. But you'll only see his shout outs for those on our Tumblr page. I don't think he posts them anywhere else. I don't know if he'll do them for YouTube. Maybe. Who knows? If you became host, what would you change of your body? I don't know, really. That would be quite. I think I'd just be quite sad. I think I'd just be. I wouldn't be sure whether or not I'd continue looking like Jess, or I don't know if I'd see much point in transitioning as me. Because I wouldn't be me, no matter how hard I tried. I mean, Jake's got a very different view on it. But I feel, for me, my inner life is much more important. And no matter if I had all the surgery in the world and I had whatever in the world, I would never have my life out here. So I don't know if I'd even bother changing our appearance, to be honest. I'm not sure. I think it would be more hassle than it's worth. And for very little gain. But yeah. What's Jake's view on it? Jake said this, I think, in the last video. He said something about basically that he would of course be very sad if Jess went, but he does also feel hugely dysphoric in this body, so he would transition and go through the lot. And so actually I'd probably end up looking like Jake, to be fair. Even if I was hosting, if Jess disappeared forever, Jake is next in line to have this body, essentially. So I would probably look like Jake, to answer that question. Do I ever feel physical pain that other alters don't? From Kristin. I'm not sure. I think we have different pain thresholds, but I couldn't tell you what they were, I'm afraid. I don't know off the top of my head. It's one of those questions that I don't think I've ever really thought much about. So, I think I know I come out when we're sick and we're poorly and we need looking after, so I don't know if that says something about my tolerance or not. What does Ed think about you kissing and cuddling Gaz? Fine. He knows, again, it's part of what we do out here, it's part of our role. And it's the same, I guess, for me. It could be said with Ed being intimate with Gaz, but I try not to think about it because it does make me a little bit jealous, because I'm not able to have any of that for myself. I'm not able to do that out here at all. But again, I recognise it's part of what we have to do, and it's part of our role and our jobs, and that's the way we work. Is Jess in a world? Does she look different? No, she's not in a world. She doesn't exist in a world. Hey Jamie, hey SS Art. Can alters have their own personal mental disorders from Leslie? Yes, they can. Or they can have... It's very difficult, because some people in the medical community will say, no, it's not that disorder, it's just symptoms of, because they believe that the host ultimately has to have the disorder, or they could have the disorder. It's just very split things. So basically, like Jake, for example, he was displaying symptoms of bipolar for many, many years, and it is written, I believe, on our diagnostic report that Jake has bipolar. But Jess doesn't have bipolar, and she's never shown any traits of bipolar, so And Jake, as the years have gone on, he's gotten much better at his moods, and we're not sure if he has it anymore. So it's very, very difficult to say. But I mean, alters, yes, and even alters can have alters, which would be a polyfragmented DID system. So that's one of the terms. Tyler, you're older than Jake, right? Yes, 2 years older. Any advice for a DID sufferer whose family insists it's got to be something else? Oh gosh. I say just stick true to you. I know it's frustrating, but at the end of the day, you can't change somebody who's ignorant. You can't change somebody who doesn't want to believe, or yeah, just don't worry. Don't stress yourself too much out about it. It's not worth it at all. And I know it's probably easier said than done, but try not to worry about what they think. Focus on you and focus on getting the support that you need. How do I talk to Jess? In my head. Same as how she talks to me, I guess, as if I'm co-conscious or if she's co-conscious and we're able to talk. My best friend has DID. How could I support him? From Olivia. I've given her quite a lot of this advice lately. I think this is coming in... I mean, this is wonderful to hear, because obviously from that it means that friends are seeking out what they should do, and they're being much more accepting and much more open about friends, not being frightened of it, which is really great. So hats off to you, Olivia. For me, I would say don't push them, encourage them. You know, say that you're here and you're cool with whatever. That, you know, don't feel that an alter has to show themselves to you or has to tell themselves about you. Equally understand that some alters may be very defensive. You may be the first person that they've ever been themselves to, which is a very daunting and frightening thing, especially when you have no idea how the world sees you. So just be prepared for that, I'd say. Yeah, and I know Jake wrote a very good thing recently to someone on our Tumblr. That's just come back to me. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I definitely say, look, just be open-minded, be really cool with things, be really chill. And the main thing, I think the most important thing, is actually to ask that system questions. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Even now, with some of our best friends with DID, we will ask them, wait, who's out right now? Like, just to double check, like, who's out right now? Just to be clear, you know. But some alters, some systems may actually prefer you to take a guess, you know, so you won't know that unless you ask that person. So definitely something I'd say is please ask that person, find out their rules, their boundaries and their preferences, and then you'll be an absolute winner. And I'm sure they're very appreciative to have you as a friend anyway. We could certainly do with more people like you. Oh my God, screaming, what happens to Jess on her period, from Maya. Whoa. Same as anyone else in the world, I take it. I guess we're all used to looking after and changing Jess, and again, we've grown up with Jess since she was very small, so we're very used to working with her cycles and making sure she's okay and well and sanitary. And funnily enough, I suppose, poor Ollie, he had my first period thing, really, when he was, I think, 12 maybe. Bless him. So he had I talked to him about it, but you know, he had to get to grips with how to do things, how to change, etc., etc. So that was a bit of a scare for him. And actually, again, it's very embarrassing for Jess. Our very good friend Joe supported Ollie with knowing what to do, because he was stuck out at the time, and that was his first time, and it was horrendous. But he's got much better now, and again, treats it like we all treat it. So, isn't Jess scared when she isn't out? She used to be. I think it's very normal to have that feeling, because at the end of the day, your life is entrusted in hands of people that you may not necessarily know. You may not necessarily have an idea of. I mean, thankfully, Jess does know us, and through the years, she has trusted us, and she knows that we will take the absolute best care that we can of her. But yeah, it is a very scary thing. Very scary thing, and I take that with a pinch of salt, definitely. I remember that, I remember the way she was years ago, and I don't take that lightly. Do you know what I mean? I'm very grateful that we have her full trust. Oh, sorry, Gaz is texting us. I can't text you while I'm in a live chat, Gareth. Right. I would love to meet Jake for a few beers. Oh, well, if you're ever in the UK, you're ever nearby, let us know. Does Ollie play Minecraft? My son wants to know. He did some time back. I've not seen him pick it up in a long time, actually, but he used to. Do you keep a diary or a journal of some kind? We have several journals and diaries all in the bedside cabinet, and yet it's barely written in, so there's a journal for each of us, and yet I don't think any of us have really got much inkling to write in the journals. So we did years ago. Jess used to keep a journal, and I know the alters at the time used to write in it, but that was destroyed not long after I think Jess discovered what was going on, so she doesn't have that anymore. And I think it's almost that idea of that reliving itself in a way that she's frightened of. So I don't even think she uses her journal much. I might be wrong. I don't know if Jess uses her journal or not. But I know that I don't think the rest of us do. I certainly haven't picked mine up ever, even though it's there. It's yellow, my favourite colour. But no, I don't use it. Is Jess considered the core or the original? Yes, she is considered the core. Do you have any allergies? Do they differ between alters? Ollie used to be lactose. We say lactose intolerance. We're not quite sure if he still has that. Gaz says yes. As far as I'm concerned, I say no. Ollie can drink, like, he has his hot chocolates now, which are like all milk, and he has those and he's fine. But if he eats cheese, like quite a lot of cheese, he gets very poorly. So I don't know. I think it's sensitivities. I think for whatever reason, back in the day, Ollie used to be much more sensitive to cheese and milk and whatever else. As he's gone older, the sensitivities have changed and not so much anymore. But yes, generally, system speaking, yes, alters can have different allergies and illnesses and things like that. If there would be medicine for DID erasing alters, would you stop Jess from taking them? Oh, what a good question. No, I wouldn't. It's Jess's life, and I think I would just want to make sure that she's weighed up everything. I think that I'd want to make sure that she's weighed up absolutely everything, and if she's really making the right choice for her, and if that's exactly what she wants to do. Because maybe this is very soppy, but I'd feel somewhere in the universe that there is an alternate life of me, Ed, and Jake and Ollie all living together somewhere, and I'd still have that somewhere. That's what I'd like to think. A friend of mine thought they had DID, but then a professional told them that it wasn't possible because they heard the voices of the alters. What do you think about that? Oh gosh, the amount of professionals that we've talked to who all have their own idea of what DID should or shouldn't be. You would be surprised, and I have heard things like that in the past, and they're very quick to be like, oh well, because there are voices, you've got schizophrenia, when that's very wrong. The general rule of thumb, although there are crossovers, although again, I have to make it very clear before I go into this, DID and schizophrenia are nothing alike. They're not even on the same spectrum of disorders. So yeah. But with the voices thing, generally people with schizophrenia hear it outside of their head, and people with DID hear it inside. There are rules and exceptions, so sometimes, particularly when you're highly dissociated or experiencing a lot of derealization, depersonalization, you can sometimes hear voices outside that may be the alter, so they may be projected. But yeah, so it's a very small detail, but again, that needs to be said, is if you are experiencing things like that, don't worry about it. That is all part and parcel. Can alters die before the host? That's a very interesting topic. So theoretically, alters cannot die. They cannot, like there's the film Identity, no spoilers. Well, there are spoilers, so just warning you. So Identity is a film, for example, where they basically go around and kill every alter, and then they all die, and then this person is basically cured. But it doesn't work like that, so alters cannot die. They can integrate, however, which means that they merge with another person, merge with another person, merge with another person, which means essentially they don't exist anymore. And then the inner world story, if there is an inner world with a person with DID, because not everyone has an inner world, the inner world story could be that Alter has died, but actually Alters, in a sense, cannot die. What kind of medicine would I like to specialise in? Initially, in a world, I wanted to be a paediatrician, but then when I started working with little kids and babies, I got very upset. I just used to, when they cried, I used to feel myself welling up, and I was like, I can't do this day in, day out, because otherwise it's just not professional. And I didn't find that I was desensitizing any more as time was going on. I think because I've got such a paternal instinct, it was just very hard. So as much as I wanted to specialise in paediatrics, in a world I'm doing general practitioning, and I'm really enjoying that actually. But I loved more than anything emergency medicine. That was my favourite, and if I could choose to do that, I would. But the working hours as a GP for family is much better, so that's what I do in a world. So I suppose I would love to specialise mainly in trauma medicine. But yeah. Your accent is so calming. Thank you, mercilessly. What are the other Alter's sexualities? If I feel comfortable sharing, I do, because I know it's quite public, so that's fine. So Jess is straight, a straight female. Jake is a straight male. I am bisexual, and Ed is gay. And Ollie hasn't got one yet, as far as I'm aware. What's the best way to tell your friend who is fronting? Oh, I think that depends slightly, Infernal. Are you guys used to being yourselves in front of other people? Because that's always something to think about. If you're not used to it, the likelihood is you're going to act more like the host, which may not make it obvious to your friends. So there's always that to take into consideration. You could just always start by saying hello. I know that some friends of ours, they all like to say hello, I'm here, kind of thing. Hello, just showing up as a bit of an icebreaker, which is fine. Other times they just scoop right into conversation, and then I can sort of gather that actually the person that's out now is not who I was talking to. So I think it also depends on your friend. Perhaps have a chat with them about how would be best for them as well as for you. That might be a good way to go. Hello, I love all of you so much. Well, thank you very much, Lee. I love you too. What if Ollie ever wants a boyfriend or girlfriend? Well, I'd like to think, because Ollie is more so like me in the way that he believes more strongly in the inner world. So he's cool with this outer world, but the inner world is for him, and that's his life, and he's very into that ideation, which is very good actually, because it means he won't be haunted by that like Jake is, because Jake's very haunted by the idea that he'll never have someone out here for him, and etc. But Ollie will, in a world, essentially. So, and I think that'll suit him fine. But we'll see how things go. What if an alter tries to take over completely? Can the host disappear? Yes. Ooh. I mean, yes, technically. But basically the host would have to integrate. So it's very complicated. Funnily enough, I was describing this theory last night. I'm going to probably forget this question. I'm very sorry if I forget your question. But I was describing this theory last night. So there are a couple of theories to DID. One of them is structural dissociation, which basically says that everyone in the world is born with multiple ego states. And those ego states, which make up your personality and your consciousness, they fully form by the age of 10, as it should normally. If your ego state process basically is interrupted by trauma and is not put back together and soothed, and you have very poor attachments, then you may develop DID, because these ego states never integrate, they never become one, they never become you. So whether that then gives you the idea of whether or not there is a host or a core, there is a core, or not. So a host is the alter of the life that you lead, but basically there's not necessarily a core alter if you believe in the structural dissociation theory. We're a little bit, I think, I like some things about the structural dissociation theory, but other things I disagree with. So I don't think it's a perfect fit, but I am glad they're trying to look into that and trying to build theories on this disorder, because it does help. So yeah, it goes alongside that. So can a core disappear? I mean, technically not, I guess, if you weren't believing in the theory of structural dissociation. But if you were talking about the host and can the host disappear, then yes, because a host can be me, it can be Jake, it can be anyone whose life is being led to everyone on this world, basically. Hope that's not too complicated. Do you guys have different friendship groups? We did at university, quite predominantly. Not so much now. I think we've all gelled with just closer friends. I think at uni, you hang out with like so many people. You do start to form your own cliques of like friends of friends and, a little bit more extroverted. But now, because Jess is a very naturally introverted person, she has a very few select friends, and then we've sort of been lumped in with that, I guess. So we get to pick and choose our best friends from the small group of friends Jess has. So it's not so much friendship groups that we have differences in, it's more just friendships, I guess. So some people in our friendship group prefer me, some people prefer Jake, some people prefer Ed or Jess, whoever really. Can a person have DID and schizophrenia? Yes, they can. What's the difference between a core and a host? So I just talked, I don't know if you heard that a little minute ago. It's very complicated and I don't want to repeat myself too much, but the core essentially, if you don't believe in the theory of structural dissociation, the core is the original personality that you are that was supposed to have this life. The host is so the core doesn't exist in the theory of structural dissociation. As far as I'm aware, I could be totally wrong on that now, I hope I'm not. And then the host is the person whose life you're leading. So I know some people, for example, who've taken over as host. So whereas before, say, it was supposed to be Emily's life, now, I don't know, Ashley has taken host and it's their life and they've legally changed their name and they're transitioning, etc., because it's their life now. So that would be hosting, essentially. Thank you so much for the information. No problem, I'm glad it's so interesting. Right. How many fragments exist within us? I think 3, but again, you can never really place a solid number on DID. I don't know. I think 3, as far as we're aware of, 3. Do you guys reply to messages on social media, i.e. Facebook? Yes, but Jess has a very weird anxiety about replying to messages. Your best bet, honestly, is to go to our Tumblr, use the Multiplicity and We Tumblr, and talk to us there, because we're more likely to answer your questions using that platform. Do you know if DID has any bearing in legal matters? For example, if one of you was to commit a crime. Do you know what? I've heard mixed responses about this. So I know, as far as I know, as the ISSTD released that with criminal convictions, basically DID doesn't wash in terms of murder cases, etc. So if somebody claims they have DID, it doesn't wash. However, if you're talking just generally ethically, if you were already diagnosed DID and then your alter stole something from a shop, I'm sure you'd be given some lenience. I couldn't say, but that's just from my own theory, I guess. But I know the I'm sure it's 2 S's, ISSTD did release a statement on crime and DID, which was very interesting. And basically it bears no resemblance, and it's just as prominent in people. Crime in general is just as prominent in people with DID as it is in the rest of the population as a percentage. I'm sure that was a correct fact. Definitely wasn't any more, but yeah. Does Jake have fans, and do they know that he is an alter? He does have fans in a world, but no, they do not know he is an alter, just like our inner world selves do not know that they are alters, so everyone is happy in a world, and that's it. Thank you for answering my questions. No problem, darling. No problem at all. Is it common for alters to work together in home life and work and school as well as your system does? I think so. I think in general, what systems strive for is functionality, because at the end of the day, that's what we're made for. We are made to be a defense or a coping mechanism for our core, our host, whatever it is. We are made to do that. And I think a lot of systems, if they're capable of, because I mean, some obviously they're quite poorly, quite sick, quite distressed, but I think naturally, just as you would if you had any illness, as the body would have with any illness, it would fight it. And I feel that naturally, I think we'd be more inclined to fight to function than we would to, not improve at all. And I know, again, our specialist has told us that he knows many, many people that are doctors, lawyers, teachers, whatever, with this disorder, who function brilliantly. And I know there was a paper that I read about a poor chap that came to see someone, a specialist with DID, who had been waking up exhausted in the morning, absolutely exhausted, and he was a lawyer. All right, so he'd go to work in the day. He'd remember having I don't know, he just remembered coming home, putting his feet up or whatever. He wouldn't remember going to bed, and then he'd just wake up in the morning exhausted. And there's this repeat pattern. And then it came out that he had amnesia, and then from there he was diagnosed with DID, and it turned out, bless him, that an alter was going out at night and having a very fun time, essentially. So this poor chap had no idea, but he was still functioning. Even with that amnesia, he was still functioning in a sense, even though he was becoming exhausted, poor guy. So I think naturally, I think we're more inclined to be able to want to function. So I'd like to think so. Or I'd certainly like to give people that oomph to say, you can do it, we all believe in you. So, how old was Ollie when he first appeared? Yes, so he was seven when he first came about. Did you ever see a person in a world and then you saw it in real life? No, I don't think so. I think we've seen people similar, that person reminds me of, someone. But no, I don't think so. Hello, I love your channel. Kisses from Brazil. Mwah. Kisses back. You never see my questions because I send the comment too early or too late for you to see it. Maybe, Matilda, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, hun. I'm sorry, I just saw that one and there was no question in there, really. But, is Ollie 14? Yes, he is. Which alter is the better singer? Aha. It would be Jake, really. I mean, I wind him up all the time, but no, it would be Jake. He does it as a living, he's a professional, so yes, him. Have I ever seen studies on epilepsy caused by dissociation? I haven't actually, Mercedes. I'd be interested to learn more about it, however. Would you happen to have any advice on befriending others within the community? Sometimes it's pretty easy to feel alone, even though there seems to be a lot of people to have DID. Yes. I know it sounds easier than it is, but if you can bite the bullet and just say hello, there are some great websites. I know it sounds really... I don't know if they'd want me to put their names out on my YouTube or our YouTube, so I wouldn't say their names here, but there are some great forums. If you do a little search around, and you do get a lot of support there, and I think that might be a great start. The DID community on Tumblr has actually gotten much better as of late, and I think a lot of people who didn't necessarily have DID are more aware now, and it's become a tighter little community. So if you're willing to give Tumblr a try, that's always an avenue you could go down. So yeah, best of luck. Where is Jake from? He's technically from England, Wales, I'm not sure, same as me really. We're a bit of a mutt, and we've moved here, there and everywhere, but he is from an English family like me, and yeah, he's just picked up his accent in our world from living in LA when we were growing up. Sing for us, Tara. Oh, no chance, I'm gasping for my next pint of water. Maybe you'll be lucky and get Jake too on the next one. He loves a bit of a sing-song. Can the alter date if Gaz is okay with it? I think I just saw. Gaz is an amazing guy, and he has said to Jake, you can if you want to, and I completely understand because you are not Jess. So if that isn't understanding and that isn't loving, I don't know what is. However, no, we have decided as a system, as a whole, that that's not right for us, or right for Jess's, I guess, just the public view in general, whether it's friends, family, whatever. She doesn't want that as, or even like, I don't know, again, if you guys have actually seen the United States of Tara. There's a brilliant part with Buck, who's in a very similar predicament to Jake, because he wants to be with this woman, but Tara has no idea who this woman is, and she's like, who are you, why am I in your bed, what is going on, and this is making me feel extremely uncomfortable because I have a husband and kids, you know. So it'd be very similar to that, basically, and Jess certainly wouldn't want all that malarkey going on in her life. It's far too complicated. Whew, okay, is it possible for an alter to not know that they're an alter? Possibly. You can imagine. Yeah. Please clone Gaz and send him my way. Oh, he'd love to hear that. I'll tell him later. Can Gaz tell who is out without you telling him? Yes. I did go into a little conversation earlier, so I won't go into it too much again. But yes, he can. He's often very good at recognising when even one of us is around but not forward. So yes, he's very good. Do you or any of the alters come out at bad or awkward times? Not really, because I think we're quite structured. And I don't think that we would dissociate if it was a bad or awkward time, unless it was quite triggering, because obviously in a triggering situation, our natural response is to dissociate. But no, I think in terms of that, we're pretty good, we're pretty solid, and we tend not to. But that's not to say that other systems out there couldn't struggle doing that. But that's just us personally. All of you are so amazing. Thank you, Lee. If an alter you never met comes out, do you guys hold Inner World meeting on who came forward? No, because we can't communicate in a world, so we don't do that. If an alter came out that we didn't know about it, we probably actually wouldn't know about it. So this is why we have to keep track of any particular blackouts that we might have, any time that's completely unaccounted for and just doesn't feel like that we've zoned out for however long. It's like 1 minute you're in your pyjamas, and the next minute you're walking down the high street in high heels, and you're like, what's happened between what I thought was 2 seconds ago and now, you know. Blackouts like that are the ones that we monitor to make sure that there are no other alters coming forward that we're aware of. But that's all we can do, really. How long does Jess usually spend out a week? Work, because she works, usually it's at least 9 to 5. Then she'll come home and spend some time with Gaz, maybe. So it varies, to be honest with you, but it's at least 9 to 5 when she's at work. Can I draw all of you guys if I had info on what you look like? Absolutely, we do love a good artsy picture. Again, you can find probably the best pictures on our Instagram or our Tumblr, so do check them out. And I believe there are pictures also posted of us on our Facebook page. So again, there are a couple of resources on what we look like. Greetings from Mexico. Does time pass differently in the inner world? I think so. It's a very good question. I think so. Because, for example, Jake sometimes lives in LA and sometimes lives in the UK. But what often happens is that time seems to follow this time. So, say it's in the morning here and we're getting images of what, say, Ed and I are doing in a world. If we're also able to see what Jake is doing, generally it's morning, even though it wouldn't be. So there's got to be some time issues there as well. Okay. Oh, I love all of you very much. I love you too. It's been so long, just want to let you know how much we support you guys. I'm so happy you can share your experiences with the audience. Thank you very much. I mean, there's not long left now. I suppose it's 20 minutes, and then I'll be popping off. I won't go above Jake's 2 hours. There's no way. I think we'll have to do a competition one day on who can go the longest. Oh. How did you all deal with freshers at uni? I think, forcedly, I think was more the word. So initially, you have all these people that come around and try and loosen you up a bit and, you know, come out of your shell and meet people and introduce to your housemates or whatever. We had one of those, basically, who decided to shuffle us around from pillar to post. And eventually it brought me out, and then I got into the swing of it because I was like, yeah, this is fun. And then I pulled Vicky and Joe, which are actually our best friends now, pulled them out of their rooms and got them chatting. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about freshers. I would just say, go at your own pace. Don't drink what you're being told you should drink. Don't give in to the peer pressure. And if you want some quiet time, you lock your door. Locking door is always a good thing. My friend says she hasn't got DID but has people in her head she talks and switches with. Any ideas? No. No, I don't. What I will say is that she should certainly visit a professional or someone that can help or give her some insight, but it's very difficult to know if she says she's able to switch with people that are in her head but hasn't got DID, what that could be. Because I wouldn't have the foggiest, I'm afraid. Sorry, I couldn't help. Will Ollie ever do a live stream? Well, actually, I think my experience here has been wonderful, so I am quite happy to say yes for him to do a live stream if he wants to do one. So yes. Do you and the inner world you have different memories? Yes, we do. I mean, we still count our inner world memories as our own. So, you know, like I said, I have a mum and a dad, and I remember how I met Ed, and I remember, you know, so I would still say they're my memories. But obviously they don't exist out here. So, yes, I have my own memories in a world, but they're not ones out here. Hi, Dara, who said hello. I'd like to know how you all got your names. Hello, Monty. I did describe this earlier in the video, so I don't want to go into too much detail. Basically, we didn't choose our names. They just came with us. Like, I guess if you picked a toy out of the box, sometimes it has a little name tag on it. That's what we came with. We just came with a name. But that's not the same for all systems. Different systems can sometimes choose names for their alters. Who is my celebrity crush? Ooh. Let me see. I have a couple, I think. Oh, who was my latest? Oh, I can't think. See, I did like a bit of Ariana Grande, and then I also saw her brother Frankie Grande, and I was like, both of them are very good. I like both. Both is good. I'll go for both. Are your transitions between Jess and alters smooth, or do you have to fight your way out? No, we're very smooth. We don't draw a lot of attention to ourselves, so you might see us dissociating a little bit. I'll actually do it. Tell you what, because this is a very searchful thing, and this is one thing that we're going to have to film one day. Probably is a bit of a parody, but nonetheless, I'll show you what it's like when it looks like you're switching, right? This is literally the face. So it's nothing big, nothing scary. But I think most of the systems I've met, this is how people switch. And this is how we switch. So you'll probably just see us noticing start to drift off, maybe during a conversation or after. Generally, it's when there's no conversation going on and when there's quiet in the room, and you'll see this. And then another alter will come out and stop speaking to you. And that's literally it. That is it. That is how fancy a switch is. So they're not these big, scary, terrifying things. They're just very boring, to be honest. They're nothing fun. I love this. I'm learning so much. Thank you so much. No problem. I'm here to please. I'm so pleased you're enjoying it. If someone had a story with a character with DID and asked you about it, would you help them portray it properly? We've been asked this quite a few times. We did try initially help, but then we sort of got swamped with requests, and unfortunately we don't have enough hours in the day. As much as we would love to help, what I would say is probably try and reach out to a community, like even on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, wherever it is, and ask people there who may have a little bit more time. Not saying we wouldn't love to help, but I know that we can be a little bit inundated with those sorts of requests, and unfortunately we don't have much time to get around to them all. Perhaps that's actually a good idea from your idea now, is to make videos, make a video maybe on creating a character with DID accurately in a book or something else. That's something that we can certainly think about doing, and that way hopefully it will help everyone. Fingers crossed. I've noticed you're a bit confused about median systems. I've not talked about them during this chat, but I'm assuming that might be through Tumblr or somewhere else. But thank you for enlightening me anyway. Hola Jenny, how did you and Ed meet? I did talk about that earlier. I'm afraid I'm not going to go over it again because I know that we only have 15 minutes left, so you have to rewatch the video. Hope that's okay, but it's right at the beginning. I'm very anxious right now, just commenting. Do you have any tips for anxiety? Biting your headphones. Don't bite your headphones, put them down. Tips for anxiety, it's the typical, I guess. I'm going to probably tell you things that you already know, but breathing techniques are great. You know, counting down from 10 to 1. In for 7, out for 11, as they say. And even like grounding techniques, like feeling something, or you know, holding some ice or something, squeezing it. Taking your mind off your anxiety is probably the best thing for you, I would say. Although, again, I'm thinking of Jess's point of view, it would probably be more from a clinical behavioural side of things, that you could, with your anxiety, analyse why you're feeling anxious or why you're thinking the way that you're thinking, because anxiety usually comes from negative automatic thoughts. So you then could channel and think, okay, how reasonable are my thoughts? Are they actually going to happen? And how can I make these positive? Maybe that'll work too. Best of luck. You're my celebrity crush. Oh, look at me. Don't know what to say. Thank you very much, Lee. As a parent, how do you feel when Ollie's out here? Sometimes I do worry. I did worry a lot when he was growing up. I was very, very lucky because Gaz was out here, obviously, and I trusted Gaz a lot, and he did a very good job with Ollie. And I often taught him what to do in situations, or if he was having a bit of a tantrum. So yeah, okay. But yeah, I still get nervous sometimes, because particularly recently Ollie's been out quite a lot, during the evenings mainly. And although I know he can handle himself and there's nothing that's going to happen, there is definitely that part of me that thinks, oh my gosh, what if, I don't know, the world explodes or whatever while he's out? I would never forgive myself, but yeah. Will this video be on my channel? Yes, it will, don't worry. Hi Jamie, nice to see you. Caught the stream late. I have a question. Get really bad when my environment is overstimulating, headaches, etc. Do you get that too? I guess so. Something that I have noticed is when we meet other systems, for example, other people with DID, everyone wants to meet everyone, so there's a lot of switching, and that I think is rather overstimulating for us. But I guess what overstimulating could be for us may be different from somebody else, so yes, makes complete sense, and I know that sometimes after all of that we have to go away and hide in a quiet room and have a sleep to sleep off the headache, so... Thanks for doing this. No problem, Chandran. No problem at all. Kisses from Italy. Kisses back to you, my darling. I'm so pleased you've enjoyed the stream. Is it difficult to explain to others about alters? Also, hello, love your channel. Thank you, Lauren. It can be very difficult. I don't really know where Jess tends to begin. I'd assume that she'd start talking about this disorder as a whole. I actually have no idea how she does it, but I have heard of different ways of different people coming out about their DID and their alters and what they have. Sometimes it's easier to start with the fact that you have alters and then go into the details of what that all really means, and other times it's easier to come straight out with DID, break down all the stigmas, and then say, actually, I have this condition, you know. So whatever works. My husband thinks I have DID. I didn't see the rest. I'm so sorry, darling. Is Jess going to stream anytime? I could ask her. I don't see why she wouldn't. I know she's got a lot of anxiety around that, and I think, I know something Jess has mentioned before is that she doesn't know how great she'd be, because in the videos that we shoot, Jess pauses for about 2 minutes or so in between whatever she's saying, because we'll have to post a raw footage one day, you know, it's quite interesting. So you see Jess sitting there saying nothing, but what in fact she's doing, she's talking to Jake, and she's talking like, and she's saying, or me, or whoever's around, and she's saying like, oh gosh, I think I'm messing it up, I don't know if I'm saying this right, am I doing this right? And she's having this dialogue. So in between this, and that's why you can see, not only does it make the video look cool when it's a little bit jerking around, it keeps the audience awake, but that's what the little outtakes are. It's literally blanks of Jess sitting there in silences. So I know that she's a little bit worried that that would happen on a live stream and she wouldn't have much to say. But I think it's just confidence. I think it's different doing something that isn't live versus something that is. So perhaps she'll be a little bit different when she does a live stream. Please do a podcast. Your voice is amazing. Oh, I'm glad it's so amazing. I'd love to. Love to. I'm not sure what I'd do a podcast of, but I'd love to. Well, we will support Jess. We love each and every one of you. Well, thank you very, very much. That's very reassuring and very kind of you. So thank you. I would absolutely love Jess to do a live stream, and Ed. I would love Ed to do a live stream. But he said the only way he's doing that with a bottle of wine and Gaz present. So to me, that sounds like a challenge. So I wonder if one day when Gaz has done his Q&A, I think it would be better to do it after that. Then Ed might pick up the courage and do it after he's a bit sozzled, but then I'd also have to be careful about what he's going to say. Maybe one day. We'll see. I think he will be the last one, the big finale. But never know. Right, we have 10 minutes left. Whoa. I can't believe where the time has gone. It's been insane. Is anyone in the passenger seat with us right now? I don't know. That's an interesting thought. I don't believe so. Perhaps Jess? It's difficult to tell sometimes, I'll be honest. I'm not quite sure. I don't know is my answer, but you never know. Have more than one alter come out at once? Well, yes, and that's called co-fronting. And that can be quite a horrific and confusing experience, or it's sometimes, we call it sometimes like a foot in the door. It feels like somebody's trying to get out and one is trying to get in, but the door is jammed. And it's the most horrific feeling. You're not sure who you are, what you're feeling. It's dreadful. You just kind of have to sit there and mong out for I don't know how long until you feel better or sleep it off or something. So yes, technically you can, and if you can get two alters to co-front, sometimes if you do it very, very well, or you're very lucky, for example, like Ed is left-handed, I'm right-handed, maybe we could do a piece of art together or something together, or write something. Never tried it before, on purpose, but perhaps that's an experiment that we could try, I'm not sure, but yes, you can. Hello, Oliver Joseph. Can any of us speak another language? No, we can't, unfortunately. It's something that we're very keen on learning, but we've never been able to pick up another language. Kisses from Chile. Mwah! Love you too. Oh, hello, Blue Rosen. Do any of us speak any other any other language that's not English? I'm afraid I've just answered that, but no, we don't. Jake is able to do sign language for BSL, British Sign Language, but he's not adapted that. It's more basic level. Will you be saving this to the channel? Yes. Is Jake watching now? I don't know, perhaps. Maybe there's something that you guys see that I can't see. I don't know. And this is more where a professional or a specialist would come in and tell me. Like, the guy that we have is amazing. And when we saw him, for example, he'd chat with me, and then he'd say, and what does Ed think about that? And like, Ed could feel himself almost being pulled because he was being, talked about. And then he'd sort of address it like, okay, Ed, even though I was out, he'd be like, okay, Ed, what do you think? And then that would throw me back even more. It was the most weird feeling. But yeah, actually, you guys asking things like that, you're more likely to know basically at this point than I am. I can't tell if anyone's around right now, so maybe someone is and I'm not aware, but you guys might know. Help, I have a 6-year-old alter. How do we explain to him that he's an alter and all of these things? Any advice for not being really worried about him when he does come out? I'd just say, do you have anyone else that can look after him? Is there anyone else that can maybe be a caregiver or anything for the little one? I mean, something I know that can be I know it's quite distressing to think that, but us alters, as I'm sure you know, we're quite adaptable. And I'm sure the little one will pull out a trick out of his sleeve and will be absolutely okay, A-okay out here. Or maybe he'll find somebody in your system that he can pull out co-consciously or work with or work alongside or something. I would just say have faith, and I know it's easy to say than to think, but have a little faith if you can, and hopefully things will work out okay. Do alters always stay the same age? No, we age, but there are other alters that don't age. Actually, I don't think any of our fragments age. So little Jake doesn't age. I don't think Kobe ages, and I have no idea if Eli ages, but I'm guessing not. only because he's younger. He's like about 17-ish. So my guess is that he won't age, but I don't know. But yes, some alters age and some alters don't age, and that can be applied to the entire system or just a part of the system. Do you guys have a different spice tolerance? Oh, that's a good question. Yes, actually. I am rubbish at my spice, as is Ollie. Neither of us can handle our spice, as is Jess. She can't handle her spice either. Ed, however, can do a Madras curry and be absolutely fine. Jake likes spicy, but not as spicy as Ed, I don't think. So, yeah, spice isn't generally for us. Thank you so much for sharing on this channel. Love from Germany. Have fun all. No problem, darling. Okay, 5 minutes left. Look at that. Right. What countries would you like to visit? I'd love to visit everywhere, to be honest with you. I'd love to experience the world, and I know Jess and Gaz essentially want to visit every country if they can on Earth, on part of their bucket list. So that would be lovely. You keep clearing your throat. Is that a sign someone else is around? I think it's just a sign I'm thirsty, to be honest. I'm sorry. I finished my drink about an hour ago in this video, so yeah. And it's quite difficult work to talk for so long. I didn't quite realise. No, don't go. Oh, bless you. I have to go soon, unfortunately. Did Ed come back? Greetings from Greece. Did Ed come back? Yes, he did. 6 months, took a long time, but yes, he's back. He's doing much better. Thank you for asking. Have you ever wondered why all the alters are male? We believe that's because when Jess was very young, she believed if she was a boy, what she went through wouldn't have happened. Or the other theory is that she believed that if she had an older brother to protect her, again, that wouldn't have happened. So that's why we think. It's all a theory, though. Do you guys have differing political opinions? Yes, essentially, but basically we go with my political opinions because I'm the one into politics. So nobody else is particularly worried or bothered about politics. Nobody's that into it. But for me, it's a big interest. So because of that, I get the fair share of putting our vote in the box, and it's always from me. Are there celebrities in a world? Yes, there are. Jake is one. But yeah, there are celebrities in a world. Do you ever dislike each other's friends? We have done over the years, yes. Yes. And that can be quite difficult. I absolutely love all of you. Greetings from the US. Well, I love you too. Hi from journey number 2. Please visit us. We did visit you very recently, actually. But we would love to go back. It was a very, very pleasurable experience. We went to Berlin. And that was great. Hello from Vancouver, Canada. Hello. What was mine and Ed's wedding like? Gosh, that's a nice little closure one. I'm hoping not to go on time. How can I do this in 3 minutes? Okay. Ed and I, we had 2 weddings, basically. I say 2 weddings. This is the story. The first one, I said, do me a favour, get married to me as a mate because I'm desperate and I need to keep Ollie and there's so many legalities and things I just could really do with your name next to my name to say that I've got a good partnership with someone and we can both raise Ollie together. So it was do me a favour, that wedding, and nobody else was around. I was very, wasn't going to come out about my sexuality at all. The only person that knew was Jake, and he was our witness, and that was that. Anyway, 10 years down the line then, we had another lovely wedding at our house because it was we lived in a beautiful, massive house, and we had like 200 guests there. We had all the people we loved there, and we had just the best time. It was beautiful, and we went right from midday all the way into the night, and we got absolutely plastered, and it was brilliant. brilliant wedding. I love your channel, especially your focus on education. Thank you, darling. You're also articulate and explain everything very well. Always look forward to a new video. Thank you for answering my questions. Love you, and love you too. Very, very pleased we could help, and that's something that we always want to do. Thank you for sharing, especially because I'm newly diagnosed, and I can't wait to look at the Tumblr. Oh, darling. Well, best of luck to you on your journey. And I would say as well, the best thing, honestly, is to try and recognise whose thoughts belong to who, whose wants belong to who, put them all in little boxes, and it just gives you that clarity. That's just from our experience, but it might be different for you. However, best of luck, and I hope that we can be of help. Please don't go. Oh, bless you guys. I'm so pleased that I'm so wanted. I'd love to do this again sometime. And yes, just I do not have DID but find it fascinating. Is it strange or weird for you? No, that's brilliant. I think even if we didn't have DID, we'd find it fascinating. We still find it fascinating, and we have this disorder. You know, it's a very interesting disorder. Oh, I wish I could carry on. I really, really do. Look, honestly, thank you guys ever so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for sticking around for as long as you have. I can't believe you've done the whole 2 hours again. Please give yourselves a pat on the back. I hope I've been able to educate you guys somewhat. I know I've been talking a lot about me and my inner world and things going on, but I'm really pleased anyway. This has been a great Q&A, and yes, thank you very much again. See you all soon. Bye.